Extreme views, a little bit of cluelessness, comfort with dishonesty, and secretive authoritarian tendencies. Take equal parts of each, shake over worrisome health, and you have what many Americans think of as the office of the vice presidency under Dick Cheney. Vice President Cheney is really deeply unpopular with the American people, and he has been for a long time. Joe Biden and Sarah Palin now vying to replace him. When John McCain asked Sarah Palin to be his vice presidential running mate after meeting her just once, the first question on everyone's mind was, what kind of decider is John McCain? How do you pick the person you want to run the country with after one meeting? Does that mean McCain is one of those look them in the eye and know their soul kind of gut check deciders? Because we all know how well that worked out with Putin. Either it was a gut check decision or someone else made this decision for McCain. Somebody told him he couldn't have who he really wanted and he had to take Palin. In which case, I want a chance to vote on whoever that person is who gets to tell McCain what he can and can't do. So that was the first question when we all found out about the Palin pick. How did that happen, John McCain? The second question, of course, was who's Sarah Palin? And that is what Americans have been paying so much attention to now for the past 3 weeks or so since we've gotten to know her. We're all coming to our own conclusions about whether we think she really has what it takes to take over Cheney's office. I'm thinking it might be a really easy transition from Cheney to Palin, and here's why. First, extreme views. Who else in the world doesn't think that global warming is man-made at this point? Wonder Twin Cheney-Palin powers? Activate. Second, a little bit of cluelessness. Cheney gets lots of credit for being the Machiavellian puppet master, controlling everything in Washington, the omniscient evil genius. You know, don't give the guy too much credit.
I think they're in the last throes, if you will, of the insurgency.
Vice President Cheney's last throes? Meet would-be Vice President Palin's online government checkbook.
As Alaska's governor, I put the government's checkbook online so that people can see where their money's going. We're going to bring that kind of transparency.
You know, that would be an awesome idea for Washington. That's why Barack Obama and Tom Coburn did that already 2 years ago. Well, how about also the issue of comfort with dishonesty?
It's been pretty well confirmed that he did go to Prague and he did meet with a senior official of the Iraqi intelligence service. And we have reporting that places him in Prague with a senior Iraqi intelligence official.
Dude, that was not pretty well confirmed. But you're obviously pretty comfortable repeating it nonetheless. Governor Palin, if you want Cheney's job, we're going to need to know just how comfortable you are with saying stuff that's flat out not true to the American people.
The bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
Did you originally support it?
I killed the bridge to nowhere, and, I think I ruffled some feathers there also.
I cannot speak to the feathers, but you so totally did not kill the bridge to nowhere, and you've been called out on it 1,000,000 times already. Finally, let's assess the most Cheney-esque of all the vice presidential vices that have brought Americans' feelings to a warm simmer of fear and loathing about the East Wing of the White House. That would be secretive and authoritarian tendencies. The easiest job in the federal government is being Vice President Cheney's spokesperson. How many different ways can a person say no comment? It's just not that hard a job. You know how the McCain campaign won't let Sarah Palin talk to the press? The guy running the McCain campaign, Steve Schmidt, used to be Cheney's spokesman, so he's had lots of practice. Don't forget also the mysteriously missing emails from Cheney's office, including from the day the FBI announced they were investigating the Valerie Plame Wilson affair. I see you those missing Cheney emails, and I raise you the 1,100 Sarah Palin emails she's withholding under executive privilege. Subpoenaed in a Palin investigation in Alaska? Check the Cheney and Bush playbook for how to deal with a subpoena in Washington. Here's my favorite, though, and this is just broken today. One of the weirdest, most surreal displays of the secretive and authoritarian tendencies of Vice President Cheney was when his office insisted that the office of the vice presidency really didn't exist formally on paper.
The best that can be said is that the vice president belongs neither to the executive nor to the legislative branch.
See, since we're not part of the executive branch, we don't have to follow the rules about disclosing anything that the executive branch has to disclose. Oh, and we don't have to follow any of the rules about disclosing anything that the legislative branch has to disclose either. We're fairies. We're in the ether. We're in your mind, scaring your future. The Hill newspaper in Washington today asked both Joe Biden and Sarah Palin if they, too, would maintain that the office of the vice presidency doesn't really exist. If they too would deny that the office of the vice presidency is part of the government, part of the executive branch. Biden's response? Essentially, don't be ridiculous. He said, quote, unlike Dick Cheney, Joe Biden won't have to create a full employment plan for lawyers and scholars to clear up something that was unquestioned for about 200 years. The vice president is part of the executive branch, period. End of story. Sarah Palin's response, on the other hand? No comment. Dick Cheney, meet Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin, meet Dick Cheney. Although it seems like you guys might already know each other.
A pig, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig.
The difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick.
Let the debate continue about whether or not Sarah Palin is ready to take over for Dick Cheney. I, for one, think she's been preparing for it her whole life.